thank you to you, Annelies, for the introduction, and to Vickie Pierre for her generosity and trust, because it really happened that way. I went to see her exhibition at the MoCA North Miami, and I was completely haunted. This is the word. And I needed to meet her. So, and of course, thank you for I am extremely grateful to the whole team at Espacio 23, Annelies, Patricia, Daniela, Victoria, they are right here, and Luis, who are here today. And because it has been an amazing month I have experienced as a curator in residence at Espacio 23. And of course, I am deeply grateful for the generosity of Darlene and Jorge Perez for offering me this opportunity. And thank you all for being here, especially under this unending rain. I hope it's going to stop at some time. And accompanying us today in celebrating Vickie Pierre's magnificent, magical exhibition currently in view at the MoCA North Miami. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Yes, how do you feel today, Vickie?
I feel good.
Good, really?
I'm also nervous, but
this is what I wanted to know. Because I am nervous too. But yes, so...
but that's okay, because sometimes that feeling is good for me, so...
For me too. So we are doing great.
Yeah.
So I would like to begin our conversation following the path of the senses, so we can keep ourselves within the realm of the sensorial. Because as Annelies was saying, just stepping into your exhibition, the title is The Maiden is the Warrior of the exhibition, it felt like crossing an entirely new universe, one inhabited by this army, an army of mysterious and mesmerizing beings, the Poupées. Everything felt uncanny. And your pupils, your creatures, they just don't linger there. They haunted. That's why I was using the word haunting. They haunt you while you are in the exhibition, but they through days and through weeks, and they refuse inhabiting, invading your mind, and they are completely refusing to leave. And what? Oh, thank you. Okay. Okay. Fine now? No? No. Now? Sí? Ahora sí? Okay. All right. So what happened was that I came back from the exhibition completely haunted by these Poupées. And what I did was, of course, what we do. You paint, or you work, other paints, other create music. I write. So I started writing. And as a way of conjuring that magic. And as I was writing, I found myself actually rewriting my own work. And I know that originally you weren't working. Of course, we weren't related, so we weren't working on the same things. But I was rewriting my current work on, I am working on the reinvention or the self-birth of Black womanhood as a way, considering as work making. And so this is what I found. And it was uncanny because, when you are working on something, this is what you have in your mind. And then I entered this exhibition, and it's like everything was replicating back to me. I was within this, what I call, and what I call, through my senses, an Afrofuturistic wilderness. For me, this has been your exhibition. So I want to open our conversation by inviting you to meditate on the act of creation. And let's take this piece, I Birthed You, a Word with a Tear in My Heart. I love your titles. in which you position yourself as the one who engenders a new reality or a reality. So you are the creator, and I want to ask, what are you giving birth to? Your poupées, these crafted beings, perform only under your direction, your imagination, your desires. Desires, I think, is an important word here. So, what is it that Vickie Pierre is injecting into her poupées?
That is an interesting question. There are a lot of things that I'm considering when I'm making my work. Many times it's something that is unconsciously managed. Sometimes it's not managed at all. Sometimes it's very, the works go through many processes. This figure, for example, looked like something else entirely before I settled on this. So, what am I giving birth to? What am I imagining? I will say this. The Poupées live in this world that is not of this world, right? And so many of the Poupées have different reasons for being. Some of them are mother figures, some of them are warrior figures, some of them are they are messengers or companions to some of the other Poupées. So in this case, this Poupée, she is kind of representing a spiritual philosophy, representing the interconnectivity between many different realms and different worlds. And so in her positioning, she is pointing to the sky and pointing to the ground, as above, so below. And behind her is a black coral shield, and that protects her from any negativity. And this tear that is in her heart, at the center of the piece, it is, it is a sadness. It is almost like a premonition of what is to come, but then also what has passed. And so that the Poupées exist that way in a lot of the works. They are from the past, but they are also from the future.
You are preparing the future.
I am.
No, they. I am not talking about you. The Poupées,
Right.
you say
Yes,
they are from the past, so they are preparing, they are building the future.
Well, they are both.
Okay.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They don't exist in any kind of rational time plane. In some instances, we'll discuss the Wanderess. She is like a journeyman. She's a time traveler. So the Poupées kind of function that way. They are not rooted in any reality, and that can change also at any time. My personal narrative is not. It's not on solid ground. Sometimes looking back at the piece, I'll see something else and make another kind of connection. So I hope that kind of answers your question.
It's your answer.
That's
it's fine. It's your answer.
Yeah.
Okay. So, given that...
Well, it's free-flowing.
Yes. That's free-flowing. And I am so glad that you brought this, this piece, actually. I am a Wanderess. Which is, because this expressing is actually of something that I really wanted to discuss with you. So what happened in this case, following with this path of the senses, my senses, when I went to see the exhibition, immediately when I first saw this piece, I Am a Wanderess, what came back to my mind was this phrase from Edwidge Danticat, which is Haitian-born artist, writer. And in this novel, The Farming of Bones, she refers, I think that this is one of the moments in which she refers to the Haitian condition, not only through how all the violences of history had defined what we could call the being a Haitian person, but also how this history is inscribed in a diasporic condition, and even though your piece, this piece is an indirect conversation, this is clear with Edwidge Danticat. Anyways, it led me it led me to reflect on the idea of wandering in your work, which is what I want to discuss here. How your figures seem not to move, not only through a space, but also through histories, through memories, through a kind of sacred fugitivity, and is somehow connected with what you just said, referring to the previous image. So there is this sense of escape, not that much from something, but towards something ungraspable. Something there is this sense of freedom in precisely within unreachability, in the sense of evasion, a refusal to be confined, to be bonded. And this particular body here is not fixed, but we can feel that it's suspended in time and space. So in my opinion, the notion of wandering resonates deeply also with the Afro-diasporic condition, in the sense that sometimes, even instinctively, I feel that us, people who are descendant of enslaved, sometimes we feel that we have errancy, fugitivity, maroonage, somehow inscribed within our DNA. It's just a feeling. And so what I propose is to consider wandering in a similar way to Edwidge Danticat, not as loss or as rootlessness, but as a fruitful generative act. Because historically, even the Maroons, our enslaved ancestors, when they escaped the plantation and they went on into the wilderness, that was not only a physical emancipation, self-emancipation, but also emancipation of the mind. The Maroon is able, so finally, is the owner of his or her own body, her body, his or her body, her time, and the space, and can finally structure the space following their own thinking and not an imposed knowledge. So, which brings me back, let's go back to the Poupées. My questions to you now is, who then is this wanderess? First, what rules, what geographies, symbolic or real, do you imagine for your Poupées?
Okay.
I am not done.
Give me the mic.
Are they fugitives? Are they seekers, builders?
There are too many questions. I cannot.
That's why
respond.
they are they healers? I am giving you prompts, and you say what you want. So in sum, what I would like is to hear you speak more about the paths you imagine for your Poupées and the deeper significance of errancy and movement in your practice. So you can say what you want. It's fine. You don't have to answer.
Okay, so that's a lot. So I'm going to try to do my best here. So I will say in general, my work is in some ways a stand-in for myself. You know, there's sort of an alter ego. And it allows me to exist in a place that I can't in this world, right? And that means there are no rules. That means I am not necessarily thinking about my day-to-day life or politics or social issues, although those find their way into the work in some manner or other, sometimes in big ways, sometimes in small ways. Um, and it, it's, it's, um, it's just the way that I've always been. I've never been an artist or even a student that wanted to focus on the real. So that's that part, yeah. As far as this Poupée goes, I'm a wanderess. You know, as I said earlier, she is a journeyer. She is a time traveler. And so within this work, she is actually opening the fabric of space and time. You know, she's traveling through an opening, and she's moving. She's kind of floating through different planes and different universalities, if you will. And see, now I can't remember any of the other stuff.
It was a question. It's just talking about this. So I was, I was, and actually you are answering.
Well, you're talking
already.
about
If they are
like
fugitives,
movement
yes,
and
if they are, yeah. And
yeah.
actually we can probably focus. So we can probably talk about these other realities. So you are saying that through your work you escape our ordinary reality, what we do in the everyday life,
Yes.
and then go to some. You create, and they create with you. Because
Yes.
if I understand, but from what you are saying, you have an intention, you start, but then you let yourself go. You are in your own space,
Yes.
another reality. So if you can talk us a little bit more about this other reality, they are doing the same thing. They are escaping the present,
Yes.
yeah?
Yes, they are escaping. They are, you know, but I'm not the marionette, but the one that handles them.
Yeah,
you
you're the
know.
creator, yes.
So you know, again, they are a stand-in for myself to some degree. I don't know. I feel like I can't say anything more about it.
Yeah, okay. How do you
It's
feel when
difficult.
they escape?
Well, they're not necessarily escaping from something that is present of mind, you know. It is very open-ended. I don't have these narratives in my mind that are beginning, middle, end.
Mm-hmm.
They just sort of exist as they are. And so that allows for freedom. And yes, it's freedom that I get to experience because I'm not worried about there being a historical narrative or, you know, something like that. So,
No, they are even free from time, and
well,
you
yes,
with them.
yes,
Yes.
yes, that
So
is true.
they are breaking all the structures that probably in you as Vickie Pierre's everyday lives, and all of us.
But this is
tend
the
to,
difficulty because I
yeah.
don't think about this sort of thing when I'm working. And the truth is, I don't want to because for me, it just becomes it's more information than I need. You know, I like working in a stream of consciousness. I like to just sort of float just above the surface, you know, where it's just the hum. And so, you know, for example, we were talking the other night about, you know, text in the work, you know. And so in a lot of my earlier works, I would use text. And I don't use text so much now, but I do, sorry, we're jumping up.
No. Because
Yeah.
of text, I am following you.
So
Forget.
I would use
Forget.
text, and you know, for me, this was sort of a way to prepare myself. So this could kind of be considered a study, perhaps. And what I would do is just listen to music, and then if there's a certain line within a song or something, or if I'm playing a song that I feel has is giving me information about the work, I just put it on loop and I just listen to it over and over and over again. And I mean over and over again. It's just on repeat until I'm in a space in the process of making the work that feels like I'm clear. I understand what I need to do. And so there's some automatic writing. You know, I don't dot the I's, I don't cross the T's, and it just kind of flows and it creates its own sort of mark making and, you know, design element, decorative element. I don't do that so much anymore in my work, and that's something that I may revisit. I've been thinking about that. But now it's kind of more in the titles of the work. And so that represents, you know, like a lot of art does, the title represents what the work is about. It represents what I'm feeling when I'm making the work. And so there is a time when, you know, again, I'm just kind of floating above it all. You know, that kind of state of being is, I mean, it's meditative, it feels transformative, but, you know, I'm not following any like specific, you know, mantra or anything like that. It's my own kind of cycle that I kind of go through. And sometimes, you know, many times it's very different, and then other times it's very similar. And when that happens, usually it's like, it's a nervous energy that alerts me to, you know, it lets me know I'm on the right track. You know, sometimes it's very uncomfortable. And when I feel uncomfortable, I feel good.
Good.
Sometimes.
Oh, okay.
But sometimes not so good.
Can I
But
make
it
you
depends.
uncomfortable? Can we make her uncomfortable?
I'm really uncomfortable already. But
Oh
that's
my
okay.
God.
That's okay.
Thank you, Vickie. Well, I just showed this piece, so don't feel the pressure. It was following your lead.
Yes.
It's untitled, but it's from the Poupées in the Bush series. And why is because, I don't know if I can do zoom in here. I won't do anything. In the hair of this is very one of the for me one of the most beautiful pieces in the
The
exhibition.
Poupée she is a ship.
Yes,
She's a vessel.
Exactly,
Yeah.
she's a vessel. And her hair is writing, and those are the lyrics of a song. We don't remember which one, but
I can't remember.
it's the lyrics of a song. So we can imagine that probably that was maybe, who knows, the song that was playing while you were creating this piece. It was a long time ago.
Most
in
likely
2016.
it was. Most likely, for sure, it was.
Okay. So that's why I brought this piece here. I wasn't supposed to talk about it right now, but since it's there, so let's keep talking about it because it's beautiful. I cannot, once it is there, I cannot get my eyes out of there. So there is the lyrics of the music, but there is also an intense collage. So we have these other elements in this piece. She's a vessel. This Poupée is a vessel. It's clearly, she is also alluding to the oceanic or the transatlantic. We can say probably even or any ocean, but probably she is clearly for her. It seems to be a black woman, referring to the African diasporic experience in this case. But also, you place this particular figure within the series, the Bush series, and there is a lot of, so the bush is there, la manigua in Espanol, no? And that's which make us, in my case, make me remember, so make me bring back again the idea of maroonage, the slave escaping and going into the wilderness. So, but the fact is, and we have kept talking about this, that you draw from mythologies from everywhere in the world, so it's global mythologies. It could be Greek, it could be Greek, it could be African, it could be anything. And also you use constantly the collage.
Yeah.
So I would like now to switch a little bit and go to your techniques.
Okay.
And I think specifically talking about the collage, that it is more than just aesthetic choice. It becomes a conceptual method in your case. Collage somehow mirrors your position as a maker of new words, in the sense that you take pieces, elements from an already existing word. It could be the song, it could be a material, something already existing, but you select, you dismember, and you take something to create another reality. So that's why I am making this connection between collage and the create and the word making, your position as a birther again of another reality. So I want to ask, how do you make these decisions? What to keep, what to let go, what to repurpose? What drives, you're smiling, great. Just what drives your selection of materials, figures, and reference? And ultimately, what kind of world are you aiming to conjure through this process?
Ask me the first one again, please. The first
Just
question. We
so
have to break it down
yes.
because I get lost.
Yeah. So, how do you make those decisions?
Okay.
What do you keep? What to let go? What to repurpose? Yeah.
Okay. So I collect a lot of different materials that I collage with. And some of the materials are from the arts and crafts movement, William Morris, who was a textile designer, um, Art Nouveau, decorative graphic arts, French wallpaper designs, a lot of botanical type flora fauna designs. I prefer to use these types of images because for me it's a way for the poupées to be grounded in I don't know, how can I say this, in earth, in an earth. They're not necessarily, there's something futuristic about them, as you say, but they're not like outer space. They're interdimensional. They're from another realm, another, universe, but, they're not like spacemen or, aliens. Um, and so having them bound in flower strips and different colors, for me, it feels it maintains this feeling of being organic and being of the earth and the soil and the water and the ocean, et cetera, et cetera. And so, there's nothing like, I don't use a lot of like geometric images. I don't like a lot of hard edges. I like for there to always be a feeling of organic softness and gentility, if you will. Even though they might have a lot of spikes and, sharp points and looking like they're going to fight, or horns or something, but still I want them to feel very soft and organic. In selecting what I use for each work, that is a process. There's a base that I use, and from there I extract or I add. I often remove areas that appear white in the work because I need for there to be this sort of undulating, warm color tone throughout the work so that the colors, how can I say, almost like, yeah, just an undulation of color flow. It needs to be like a warm, and if you have a pop of white in there, it kind of breaks that up. And so, this might not be very interesting for you guys, but for me, it's very important because it creates a cohesion within the work. And then, of course, I choose elements that appear to be, adornments, right? So jewelry. I look to different cultures and different images of different cultures to represent these women warriors. And so sometimes I'll be looking at like the Maasai with all the jewelry around their necks that build up and create an elongation in the neck, or head binding, or even in some instances like Japanese shibari, where figures are kind of bound and tight, and bits of their body kind of spill out, and it's very sensual and sexual, but it's also just gorgeous. It's just beautiful to me, and a little BDSM in there as well. And references to ritual and references to, sacrifice, I guess. What's the next question?
Well, yes, I think it was.
Well, you asked me something else after that, but
Okay.
I lost it.
It was, what words are you intending to create through? So what are the words that you are creating through this the use of the collage and the music, maybe? So what kind of word are you conjuring there?
Well, I want them to kind of be, in some instances, they're portraits, right? So they're meant to kind of represent these figures that I see, these forms that I see in my mind's eye, right? Like I don't do pieces that look like, characters are really interacting with each other. And that's actually something new. I do kind of do that with a new fabric piece that I did for the exhibition. We don't have the image, but and that was very interesting for me because I don't usually have them really interacting with each other. The first one was the Poupée with the two characters,
We have
the twins.
yeah.
See, yes. But for the most part, the figures are usually standalones, and they function kind of like portraits. And when I first started making the works, the figures were more, like floating in space and kind of ethereal and kind of bouncing around, and they're just these organic, bound up shapes. And over time, particularly within the last couple of years, they're standing upright. There's a top and a bottom, and it's very definitive. They have feet, they have arms, and that's kind of interesting for me to evolve into that. I may start going back though, because I like when they're kind of unrecognizable and not really able to be pinned down.
Why?
Well, for that very reason, because I don't want them to be pinned down. I don't want them to be so recognizable and figurative.
Okay.
But I may just kind of go back and forth, with that in the future. So, yeah.
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I will actually go back to this idea.
We're jumping all
of,
over the place.
Yeah. Yes. So I would like to return to these two pieces, and particularly the first one, she lingers in the doorway, and to open a meditation on, and also the second one, sorry, she is the anchor that lights my way, to meditate, to start a meditation on ancestrality, and also the theme of portals, or in this case, the doorway, as you call it. So there is, particularly in the first one, there's something particularly special and powerful, especially powerful in this figure. She seems to hover in this liminal space. So it's like she is not fully entering, nor leaving the space, and is inviting us at the same time that she's not exactly welcoming us to get there, as if she's guarding a passage from one word. Again, we have this idea constantly, this idea of different words, one that was before and then that one is still there. But in this case, we don't know if we are entering or leaving, or leaving it. And also, when I look at the faces of some of these poupées, especially those with the dark shimmering void in their face, which is actually not a void. This is very complicated. It is a void. I am referring to this yes, void, let's call it, in the middle of the face, and probably here is more evident. And I can't help but to feel as though they are made of something infinite. And that this deep dark blackness feels like empty, but it is not complete. As I said, it's not complete, empty. It feels like there is an ancestral presence calling from within the pieces. So as they are made of this ancestrality, as ancestrality and mystery are the very material of which they are made, all these poupées. So it made me want, because again, as I told you, again, I made me want to ask you about your feelings about ancestrality. How is ancestrality present in your work? And more broadly, what are the forces that move you to create related to this ancestrality? What propels you spiritually, emotionally, when you are when you are birthing your body of work? Not too many questions, just ancestrality.
Oh, that's three.
No, it's just, I was just,
I know. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll just start with the ancestor part. I am not
Okay.
thinking of ancestors. It exists within the work, but I'm not specifically thinking about that. I'm looking to references that give me that kind of language in the work. I respect that. I'm interested in reading about it. I I look to a lot of high fantasy art, and I love fantasy and science fiction and horror. We talked about this, and different kinds of literature that fits into this world, and so it finds its way into the artwork. But nothing is ever specific to anything.
It's an energy.
Well, sure. I mean, yes. I mean, it's all an energy, right? For example, when we talk about their faces, you know, I see it more as, a portal. These are portals to introspection. It further perpetuates the idea, the concept that these are interdimensional beings, and so the way in is the way out. And so as you're, gazing into these mirrors that don't reflect, they invite you in, and it's into space, it's into wherever that leads to. Very Alice in Wonderland, through the looking glass, you go to the other side, and what awaits you there. And but
I will ask you, but the other side, the other side is within.
yes.
So it's a whole world that is within those poupées.
Well, it's it's like infinity, right? So see the world in a grain of sand, and then just you keep going in and in and in and in.
Yeah.
And then you go mad, right?
No.
So, how many times can you divide this number? Yeah, and actually that happens with the collaging, because you'll see, like, in some of the earlier pieces, the collaging is much looser, it's a little more open, the body, the form is able to kind of breathe. And as we get closer to 2020, 2025, the collaging becomes denser and tighter. And that's something that I'm trying to control because, if I don't, I would just keep going and going and going. I like the way that it looks, but I also want to kind of go back. And so that's why I was also talking about going back to the forms being less figurative, because it's almost like I don't want to control them. And so making the figures more figurative is kind of controlling them. And I want them to maintain this sort of loose, amorphous kind of existence. So I'm going to keep playing with that, and we'll see what happens. But then there was the first question, which I did not answer.
About ancestrality. Yeah, how...
That's the first one.
Yes. So
and what was
this
the
is
second one?
Oh, the second one is actually what propels your work. So, and this you were somehow saying it. That's why it's... Don't follow my questions exactly.
I need to,
yes,
because then I'll forget.
You can no, but
you're giving me a lot of information.
Just
I'm trying.
I am asking you for the information. I am getting it actually,
Yes.
so I'm happy with myself.
I'm happy to give it.
Yeah.
So I guess, it might sound a little corny, but, what I would love is if I could just somehow live in this world, right? But that is impossible.
Why? No,
And
it is not. You are living in this world too.
I am, but it's only mentally. It's not like physically, If I could get up and leave right now, I would. Again, like Alice through the looking glass. And that's really what is happening with these works. I'm creating a world that I would like to live in. And I don't know. I can't say anything more about it.
That's fine. And yes, so thank you. It's fine. I think she has talked a lot. She is talking.
Really?
It's fine. This is what we want. But really. And so I am tempted to go, because you were saying, you were talking about your desire to inhabit their world. And you actually somehow did it here. But we are going back to this at the end.
Yes, okay. Yes, we can go back.
Keep thinking about it, okay?
Yes, okay.
So let's go to, I will love absolutely for us to talk about the title itself. It's not that one, the title. The title of the exhibition, The Maiden is the Warrior.
Yes.
So I know it's not the title of this piece. I selected this piece because I think it's the one that is really showing the warrior features of your Poupées. They are not just Poupées sitting there. As I said, they are not just lingering. They are actively fighting, and especially fighting, and also showing their power. This is a queen, of course, and the queens have queendoms. And so this is space that you are creating, yes? So, so I would like to talk here mostly, and this piece is the last piece, and somehow it's the last piece of in the show. So we finished the show with this impressive image of the victorious Poupée. The title actually, Empire Rises. So one empire rises, and it's probably just her empire, what it is within her. But the empires, the others' empires can fall, right?
Yes.
And you took this title from a song. I searched the song. One of the original one is, did you finally found it?
No, I know the song.
Again, no, the old one, the original one. The original one is a hard rock song. Well, it's a beat, really intense.
Well, yes.
And then you got the second version from Ruel.
Well, that is my version.
Yes. The one that inspired you is that one.
Yes.
But in any case, why I'm bringing both? because the first one is a hard rock song, really, really strong. And when I was listening to it, I said, yes, of course, it's fighting, let's fight, etc. And then the actual song, that version that Vickie took in order to create this piece is a little less intense, but the lyrics are completely in dialogue with this creation. There is a moment, in the song, when it said, only one will stand at the end of it all. And of course, here it is, the character that will stand at the very end. So I love to follow that current that leads us deeper into the identities and behaviors of your poupées. And to me, I keep thinking that they are maroons, maroon beings, because they are autonomous, they conjure new lives beyond the imposed structures and systems of knowledge. Each of them are warriors. So my questions, what does it mean for you and for the poupées to be a warrior? Yes? And what are they resisting or confronting? I will repeat, no worries. And what kind of tools or powers do they wield in their struggle they are becoming? So, what is war? What is the warrior? What kind of tools do they use or can we use? And what are we struggling against or resisting or creating? Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to try to do all of that in
Yes.
like a nutshell.
Yeah.
So this is a little difficult because it demands a bit of vulnerability. So, the works are meant to, when I say it allows me to kind of leave this world, they are ultimately my protectors, right? I'm able to find strength and power, self-empowerment through the creation of these works. And that includes confidence, that includes, following your own path. I was speaking to Uni earlier, and I used to work as an administrator in the arts, and it took a lot of courage for me to leave that position to just make art full time. It was extremely difficult, and I was worried about that decision for quite a while. But then once I started making this series, which was in 2016, and I just, there were many things that I was afraid of. And once I started doing it, it was, unbelievable feeling. I had that nervous feeling, but I understood that I was on the right path. And really, even within the difficulties of creating one piece from the next, the work has always flowed, And so, in a way, well, I often think about that. There's a reason for that. There's like a metaphysical, spiritual reason that that's happening. And so I kind of push and pull with it. I play with it. I don't want to know too much. I'm not nosy. I want to let the muse speak to me. And this is also when I talk about just kind of hovering just at a certain level where I just allow the work to come. And, I do the research that I do, and it finds its way into the work, however it finds its way into the work. But, I certainly don't, sit down and sort out what each piece is going to be. They are really just an amalgamation of so many things. And I think that's the best way and the most honest way for me to work. And I feel like it's been successful. It's been a font, it's just been amazing. and it really allows me to take a lot of risk, and so I'm doing that. And so, I think that the Poupées are, I don't know. I mean, I could say they're fighting a war for all women, right? There's self-empowerment, there's female empowerment, you know, um, but this war, or that they're fighting, these battles, I don't even know what they look like. I don't know what they are, but they're prepared. They're in dress,
And
right?
they are victorious.
Well,
There
yes,
is victory at the end.
yes, yes, yes. And what's interesting, I forget about that sometimes. I suppose she is victorious. Yes, she is. When I was thinking about this piece, or as I was working on this piece, I was listening to the song. So, a lot of times, we were talking about the titles earlier. A lot of times, I don't have titles for the work until the very end, you know. And in some instances, I select from a list that I create, like I might be doing something else and I'll hear something and I'll say, I need to keep that. I'll be reading something and I'll say, oh, I kind of like the way this sounds. Let me see if I tweak it, and that'll be something that I could use. But they have to fit together, And so when I was working on this piece, I was listening to this song by Ruel, and a lot of her music has this style that is very epic and kind of romantic, and it sounds like you're on a journey. It sounds like you're running or in movement, in motion. And something is about to happen that is really, epic, right? And so halfway through the piece, I selected that title. I mean, I actually kind of went back and forth between Only One Will Stand at the End of It All, and then Empires Rise, Empires Fall, because, and I chose Empires because I felt like this encompassed everything. Like, this is what it's all about. There are, there are, you know, uh, how do you say it? Not traditions. There are generations, right, of battles. There are generations of people that come, ancestors, that sort of thing. And so empires come and empires fall. There's always change. That is a constant. Whatever the empire is, whatever that is, it's not necessarily a great, military power. It could be like local, you know, something small. But this Poupée, she is kind of
She's standing. She's there. The
well,
empires can fall, but she's there. She's
right.
standing.
She is there, but a lot of the figures that are more figurative, they're kind of I don't know how to say it. I mean, they've become like the all encompassing of the Poupées, And so this is also why I was saying I don't want them to be what ultimately the work is about, because to me it's almost too literal. And so I like to live in the ambiguity. I like to play in that world that is sort of mysterious and unsure. But then again, as we were talking another time, this is someone that is revered, right? She was a great warrior, a battle woman, battle person. And, within the context of the exhibition, she stands as someone for the other poupées or visitors to see as, victorious, And that's what happens with all of them together, that some of them are mothers, some of them are partners, some of them are or special characters, and others are like military leaders, queens, kings, spiritual queens, that sort of thing. It's kind of a mix.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
I'm
Okay,
starting
and
to.
and then just to end, I think that the best way to end is with the centerpiece of your exhibition. Is this installation, When We Dream of What Will Become, in the titles. And so it's here. Let's see if it works. Yeah, it is. Okay. So this is the piece. And because this is a queendom, finally. So you were talking earlier about how to live. You want to live within the world of your pupes.
Yeah.
And but you were playing it well, but it's not a real world. But here you finally became the architect with this piece. You became not only the architecture of the architect of these words, but also the artisan. You crafted one. What we have there, in my sense, is this cipher in which your pupes finally find a place to find the place where they can rest, they can dream, they can labor. It's theirs. Is this within this carousel, and again, when I saw it, I immediately thought about what is called what these settlements of maroon slaves, those places in which the maroons went to. So they created out of the ordinary world, and they created, and it was for themselves. In this case, your pupes have this place, but this particular cipher, this particular space that is their palenque, or quilombo in Portuguese. This cipher, as I said previously. So. What I would, and a cipher very important, in which they are not longer fugitives, but the sovereigns, like the previous queen that we were showing. So I would like us to speak a little bit about what would happen if we dreamed of what will become, which is the title. Yes. So what if we can imagine our own palenques or places like this one, our own sacred spaces of becoming, which is what I said, no one. What happened if we dream what will become, and what about these spaces in which we are not confined, we are not surviving, but creating? There is a difference between surviving and creating. What becomes finally again? What becomes when we dream?
Well, that is left up to the individual, right?
Yes.
That is something that everyone has to find for themselves. I like to think that that's something that's already happening. As a society, people are paying more attention to their self-care, mental care, finding spaces to rest, touching grass. Everyone always says touching grass. And I think people have always been doing that, but with technology, it's becoming a little more challenging. And so, I'll leave it to everyone to find their own way there, right? I have a hard enough time on my own. But yes, in this work, the Poupées come to stand in ritual and commiserate if there is, a loss in the tribe, in the group, and they come to rest and they come to pray together, make sacrifices, and look at the stars, gaze at the stars, And that's kind of what the canopy kind of represents all those things. It is the canopy of a tree, but it's also, the stars and the majesty and the magical possibilities of the world, and of this place that the Poupées live in. When Adize and I were working on the show together, she asked me if I had figured out where they are. And, it kind of took me by surprise. I'm like, they're up here. But I don't know where they are. I still don't know where they are. And I think it's okay because then it can expand. I could just keep going and going. And, we already know that it's not on this plane. But, they're here to visit. They're visiting for a little while, and then they're going to go back. But, I think that, we all need to kind of escape from this world. And, magic kind of allows you to do that. Imagination, fantasy, it really allows you to do that because, reality is real. And, this kind of gives you, it gives me like protection. It gives me armor to live in this world. This is what we'll be.
Thank you so much.